In 1754, something happened in a remote part of Colombia near the border with Ecuador, in the town of Ipiales. Maria Meneses lived in Potosi and would go to Ipiales to buy food, crossing mountains lined with cliffs and caves. From Potosi to Ipiales was around 6 miles. One day, as she was about to cross the bridge that spanned the river Guaitara, a fierce storm suddenly rose. She quickly sought shelter in the nearest cave. She was alone and terrified. She was devoted to Our Lady of the Rosary and so started praying. As she was praying, she felt someone touch her back and call her name. She turned around, but saw no one there. This frightened her all the more, and she hurried home as soon as the storm passed. A few days later, she had to go to Ipiales again, this time carrying on her back her 8-year-old daughter, Rosa, who was deaf and mute. When they reached the same cave, they sat down to rest. Maria let down Rosa from her back. The little girl began to play on the floor, and before long she cried out, "Mommy, Mommy, there is a woman with a little boy in her arms." Maria was stunned. Rosa was talking and pointing to a spot that Maria saw was empty. No one there. She became frightened and quickly picked up Rosa and left the cave. But news of the event quickly spread. A few days later, Rosa disappeared. Maria could not find her anywhere. In a panic, Maria implored Our Lady of the Rosary to help her. The thought came that perhaps Rosa had gone to the cave. Rosa had been telling her mother that the lady was calling her there. Maria went to the cave, and there was Rosa. She was kneeling in front of a lady dressed in white while playing with her little boy. Maria immediately recognized that it was the Blessed Mother with Jesus, and she reverently knelt down. Sometime later, Rosa became very sick and died. Maria was beside herself in her grief. She thought of bringing the body of Rosa to the cave to implore the Blessed Mother to bring her back to life. She reminded the Blessed Mother of the many candles and flowers the people had brought to the cave in her honor. The Blessed Mother heard her. Rosa came back to life. By then, night had fallen. The mother and daughter arrived home at 10 p.m. Of course, in her excitement, Maria woke her relatives and friends to tell them about the miracle. The people could hardly wait till morning to go to the cave. At the first crack of dawn, they trooped to the cave. It was September 16, 1754. As they approached the cave, they were astonished to see lights from inside the cave. On entering, they beheld a beautiful image imprinted on the back wall of the cave. The Virgin Mary holding the child Jesus. Our Lady, seeming to be Indian, had long black hair that flowed onto her shoulder, almost like a veil. The image and the colors were vivid. Our Lady wore a red dress under a blue mantle speckled with stars. golden rays emanated from the Madonna and Child, who also wore a red garment. She stood on a moon with two kneeling figures whose hands were folded. This was Saint Dominic to her right and Saint Francis of Assisi to the left. Our Lady held out a rosary to Saint Dominic, and the child Jesus held out a cord to Saint Francis. Recently, German geologists bored through several places in the rock to analyze how the image was produced. They discovered that the vibrant colors are of the rock itself, up to several feet deep. They proved that there is no paint, no dye, nor any other pigment on the surface. The colors are still vivid. They are the colors of the rock itself, humanly impossible to fabricate. As expected, such spectacular news of the miraculous image spread quickly throughout the land. In 1754, a blind priest, Fray Gabriel Villafuerte, built the first rustic church topped with a thatched roof. Not satisfied with a humble chapel, he traveled from town to town to beg for money to build a bigger, more respectable church. In 1769, enough money was collected to build the church. Our Lady restored the sight of the priest, another miracle. Today, a statue of Father Villafuerte in a patched suit, with his hand held out in a gesture for alms, is displayed at the shrine. The second church was built by Father Jose Maria Urbano and directed by Ecuadorian architects. Father Henry Collins commanded drilling a tunnel to the beautiful artificial waterfall. The third church began construction on January 1st, 1916, and was completed 33 years later in 1949. Constructed in neo-Gothic style, sparkling white spires soar atop the cathedral, which rises 328 feet from the bottom of the canyon and is connected to the other side of the canyon with a 160-foot-high bridge. Life-size white angel statues are situated around the outside of the church and also line the walk over the bridge. The Guaitara River below flows continuously. The magnificent cathedral appears to be dangling over the chasm and is built in such a way that the gorge cliff with the image of the Virgin Mary forms the back wall of the sanctuary. Here we see the rock wall of the sanctuary. Many miracles have happened to the faithful who cry to the Virgin Mother for help in their distress. This is a sample of the thank you notes left by grateful pilgrims on the rock walls along the paths going to the church. Why did the Blessed Mother imprint this particular image on the rock at this particular time? Catholic tradition from the earliest times in the history of the Rosary has attributed to Saint Dominic the personal mandate from the Blessed Mother to spread the devotion to the Rosary and to use it as a weapon against attacks on the Catholic faith. Saint Dominic lived from 1170 to 1221. At that time, the Albigensian heresy was raging. Obeying the Blessed Mother and using the Rosary as a spiritual weapon, Saint Dominic succeeded in quelling the heresy. 250 years later, Father Alan de Rupe, a Dominican, wrote about this tradition. By that time, any documents written during the time of Saint Dominic had been destroyed in the many wars and rebellions against the Church. Enter the Bollandists in the 1500s. These were Jesuit scholars who had been assigned to review the traditional devotions to Christ and the saints. They were named after the Jesuit priest Jean Bolland, who led the effort to compile the Acta Sanctorum, which finally became 68 volumes of history on Catholic devotions. They concluded that because no existing documents could authenticate the claim by the Dominicans that the Blessed Mother actually gave the Rosary to Saint Dominic, the devotion was suspect. This in spite of the many popes who had endorsed and practiced the devotion themselves. An eminent example was Pope Pius V, a Dominican, who met the Muslim challenge that would have captured Europe in 1571. He organized a fleet of ships under Don Juan of Austria in the famous Battle of Lepanto. In Rome, he asked all the faithful, both clergy and lay people, to go in procession praying the Rosary. Against all odds, the Catholic fleet won. Pope Pius V saw the victory in a vision way before the messenger reached him to announce the victory. In gratitude, the Pope instituted the Feast of Our Lady of Victory, which later became the Feast of Our Lady of the Rosary, celebrated on October 7 every year. This painting that we see here of the Battle of Lepanto was painted by our very own Filipino Juan Luna. It is one of several huge epic canvases that Juan Luna painted, among which are the Spoliarum. We know that the Rosary is a powerful weapon and effective weapon against evil, given to Saint Dominic, as the image on Las Lajas, in Las Lajas, would certify. So, dear friends, let's pray the Rosary every day. God bless us all.